Hello everyone, welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. Okay, so we just had a pretty good spring shower. And I was in the house and I had a bunch of seeds and I'm like, what am I gonna do with all these 5-year-old, 7-year-old seeds and things that I'm just not planting this year in the market garden? Like, what am I gonna do with them? Because, you know, you start to gather seeds and you end up with a ton of them. And you become unsure of what to do with all those unused seeds. Well, I had a brain flash, guys. I was like, okay, so we had a pile of wood that had been sitting here since probably September of 2022. So sitting here for several months. So the ground was covered, which means on my clay, the ground is now going to be softer. And then it's very close to the no-till garden, which is directly behind me. And I'm like, do I really want grass and weeds to grow back this close to my no-till? Or do I want to grow the rabbits their own garden plus a pollinator garden? Ding. So I had basil, parsley, lemon balm, sage. I had some hibiscus. I had some cucumber seeds. I had a couple of gourd seeds, had a whole bunch of turnips and beets and carrots. And I'm like, okay, so it's not too late to plant those things in Louisiana. Oh, I had spinach and lettuce too, guys. So I'm like, all of those things are safe for the rabbits to eat. Plus I had some packets of, like, you know, baby's breath and some really pretty like spring flowers that I had just never gotten around to making a flower bed with. So I mixed them all in that green bowl and I've been soaking them for 5 hours, getting them soft. And what I'm gonna do with this area right here, where you see all the burn area, is I'm gonna grow a pollinator / rabbit garden. Now, if you know anything about gardening, you know that you can burn out weeds and grass right before you garden. It actually gives fertility back to the soil. Well, the cool thing is, if you've ever burnt an area in your yard and then for whatever reason gone and put a shovel back in that soil shortly after, you realize that the earthworms are all up underneath that area, okay? And so they're gonna start bringing all this charred wood, charred plant material. We even put some cardboard boxes over here. They're gonna start dragging that back into the soil. So I was like, how can I add some more fertility to this area and get it ready to be planted? Well, here's the thing. You see this? This is what we garden on. It's pretty much clay. Now this is a little bit more sandy than I'm used to. I'm actually used to that color clay. So underneath where all this wood has been sitting all winter long, the soil is pretty soft, guys, compared to what usually you get with clay. Now it is still pretty clayish and it's still pretty compacted, but the thing is if I cover this area with rabbit manure, leaves, and keep it covered and put the seeds down, they'll begin to turn this area into a really fertile part of my yard, bringing in the pollinators that I'm gonna need to pollinate that 1/4 acre market garden. It's also gonna help to reduce my feed bill for my rabbits because I've been slowly moving them to a more naturalized diet over the past 1.5 years. Now, on our property, you can see that's the pond, there's the main rabbitry. So I'm relatively close to where I wanna garden for them. Just like what I did with the chickens and their garden being in their run, I'm getting this garden as close to the rabbitry as possible. So when I come out here to harvest for them, I'm not having to walk all over my yard looking for their favorite things, guys. I'm gonna grow them all in one spot. So this is a great way for you to put to use your older seeds. If they don't germinate, it's okay. It's no loss to me. I didn't try to seed them up or direct seed into this garden and then nothing grow, which would be an issue. Now what I'm gonna do is I've got a bucket right here beside me. It's full of rabbit manure. It's full of organic hay that the rabbits have been peeing on and pooping on. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna spread it all out here in the center. And then I'm gonna take that entire green container full of just seeds and dump it out here. We had this old landscaping like borders that my dad had given me when he had changed up his garden. So this is the size that I want the rabbit garden to be. Now you can see that one bucket I brought out here was not very much coverage for this area. So that means I'm gonna need a couple of wheelbarrows full of compost, rabbit manure, worm casting, and leaves to get this area totally covered, because I wanna stop any weeds or grass from growing right back here. Now the area around it, the grass will come back, but keeping this border here is gonna help me as my plants are growing not to forget that I'm growing something there and put the lawnmower over it. So that's why I'm gonna use the border. And I really think, guys, that being this close to the rabbitry, I'm gonna be able to pick more. It'll be where I can see it as I'm going to the rabbitry. So I can stop and harvest here, take and feed there. But the biggest thing that this is gonna do is it's going to bring in so many pollinators this close to the pond, that close to the quarter-acre market garden. It's gonna increase the productivity of my market garden. My pollinators have a place to go, like a habitat right here where we leave up the trees around the pond on this side, and they also have a water source. That's all very important when you're trying to bring pollinators to your property. You have to give them the correct type of environment to survive. Guys, I am super, super excited about this garden. So let's get those seeds in here. I'm gonna seed up this garden exactly how I did the chicken garden, guys. I'm just gonna take handfuls of seeds and just throw them out there, okay? I'm not worried about putting them directly in the soil or burying them. Like I said, these are old seeds. These are seeds I was not going to use. So, you know, hey, if they make it, they make it. If they don't, well, it didn't hurt me any, did it? I just have another area that when I get a little more time, I can get over here and grow a different type of garden. I tell you guys all the time, use what you already have in your hands. Don't make it more difficult than it has to be. Could I got a higher germination rate if I would have planted the seeds? Probably. But when I turn this camera off, I'm gonna go get one shovelful of compost tonight, and I'm gonna sprinkle it everywhere that I kind of threw seeds out or poured seeds out. Guys, like I said, just wanna go ahead and get this area covered and get something growing in it to avoid just another patch of worthless grass. It never hurts for you to make small attempts to bring in pollinators to your pollinators to your property, and for you to find ways to naturally feed the livestock that you already have. Not to mention, I love flowers. So this is gonna be really beautiful, and I'm super excited about it. Let's walk over and let me show you how awesome the chicken garden is coming along. You can see now where the compost has been added. Like I said, I didn't put very much, guys, because I'm going to let them go ahead and start seeding up. And then once they do, I'll finish filling this whole area in with leaves and hay and rabbit manure. While we're heading to the chicken garden, let's talk about some things that rabbits can eat. Guys, they really, really like herbs. Okay, so if you can grow them things like peppermint, especially basil, sage, lemon balm, lemongrass, they really, really like that stuff. Now, here is a tiny warning I do want to make to you guys. If you use peppermint and you have a breastfeeding doe, you may reduce her milk. Just remember that. Okay, so the freeze that came in about a week ago was really hard on some of the plants out here. The good thing is I had a combination of sun-loving, heat-loving plants, as well as cool-tolerant plants. You can tell the oats, the turnips, the beets, loving it. I'm noticing over here that I've got a whole crop of new baby plants coming up. And that's exactly what I wanted, guys. Now, my zucchini and squash that had already come up out of the ground, the freeze killed it that's out here. But there's some other seeds that I'm hoping that they too will go ahead and germinate. Now, here is the thing. Every couple of days, about every 4 or 5 days, I bring new seeds out here of different varieties and I toss them out. So I'm basically succession seeding the chickens' runs, okay? Now, what I mean by that is when they are let out April 1st, they're gonna hit this garden hard and fast. And they will probably pick up as much of the small tender stuff, which they prefer, which people tell you keep your chickens out of your gardens while your plants are small. There's a reason for that. So most of this will get taken, right? The clover and all of that's gonna just get pulled up super fast when they come out of that coop. But this taller stuff that I let get established, they will pull the leaves off of the oat, they'll pull the leaves off the turnips and the beets, and basically those plants will survive and they will grow more leaves. So that is the theory behind it, okay? So like I said, there are also several different herbs out here that are growing. There are several different plants, like their tomato, bell pepper. I even threw, guys, even threw carrot seeds out here, because even though the chickens are not going to eat the carrots, they really do love the tops of carrots, all right? So I hope that this helps you guys. Personally, for Stephen and I, it's still just a little bit too early to put our sun-loving, heat-loving plants in the soil. I am not convinced that we're not going to get at least one more overnight freeze. And I told you guys before, where I live, the way my property is, that could be a game changer for Starkey Farmstead. But what I can do, because I'm ready to plant like everybody else, so what I can do is go ahead and establish my pollinator rabbit garden, and I can continue to tend to my chicken garden while I'm waiting for April 1st and beyond to get my summer garden out in that no-till. So hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope that it helps you realize that you don't have to make it difficult, okay? But you do need to get something planted to feed your animals as well as your family and to support your ecosystem, all right? So a healthy ecosystem is gonna bring in the beneficial bugs as well as the pest. And if you'll just give it a little bit of time, your ecosystem will balance out if you feed it correctly. Thank you for joining us today. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know, are you growing any fodder, any gardens specifically for certain animals and certain livestock? So what are you growing? How are you doing it? I would love to know. Please like, comment, and share, and thank you for rowing in our boat.